It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. Some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend with Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wants to hear from Sandra. Every day, everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day, everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day, everyone got to hear from Sandra.
All righty. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. How is everyone doing this beautiful Tuesday morning? Hope you guys are doing well. I see we're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Every single day, I have at least one person who's a regular listener to the show on social media, still confused about how to find us. And I'm just like, how is that possible? I've made it foolproof, I thought. So let me remind you how easy it is. Number one, if you are on WhatsApp, all you have to do is join the WhatsApp channel. And every single day, within a few minutes of the show going live, I refresh and update the live link so that you use this. It's basically the same link, just on the back end. I'm changing the details of where that takes you to. So it takes you to today's episode, right? So I'm literally doing that right now as we speak. And so all you have to do is wait a few minutes and then click on that link that we have in WhatsApp, which what I do is not only do I update the links for you, but I also then turn around and resend them out on the WhatsApp channel. So it's like a reminder that, okay, here are the links. And it's cmrky.com/TCHT, the cold hard truth, 1, if you want Facebook. 2, if you want YouTube. And it's the same link every single day. So that's the no-brainer approach. If you want the one that requires you to think a little bit and make a few clicks, it's not much, I can assure you. All you have to do is go to Facebook, click on the profile picture, and you know that we're live. Once the profile picture has that little red circle around it, that means you're live. You should be getting notifications, but I know that sometimes Facebook is a little bit weird with the notifications. So yeah, click on that, and that will automatically take you to the live show on Facebook as well. YouTube, pretty straightforward. You just find the YouTube channel and you should see it right there. So I don't know why some people are like, I can't find you. And I'm like, really? Literally nothing has changed. It's the same link. Now it's live. Now I've just updated it. THCT 2 and 1 will take you right to the show. All right, let's get this show on the road. It is Tuesday. So of course, that means that it's Medical Rundown Tuesday. And I'm so happy to have in the studio with us this morning, we've got Dr. Anita. That last name looks a little bit tricky, Dr. Anita. I'm going to go with, if I had to guess it, I'm going to go with Rao. Is that even close, Dr. Anita?
It's absolutely perfect, Sandra. You got it right. Bang on.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you, which means that it's possible you've got a tab or something open that is playing in the background. So just double check that for me. Just going to give you a quick second to double check that. Now, of course, I know you guys are sitting here waiting for Shamari, who is the Chief Business Officer. He's not with us today, but we are pleased to have Dr. Anita, who is a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at Health City, Cayman Islands. She has advanced expertise in laparoscopic surgery, cosmetic, and high-risk obstetric care. She's the manager. She manages, a broad spectrum of women's health conditions with particular strength in minimally invasive gynecological surgery, complex vaginal procedures, and the management of high-risk pregnancies, including gestational diabetes. She is trained at a institute there. Oh gosh, let me see if I can get this one right. Jawaharlal Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research, one of India's premier medical institutions. And she also earned her MRCOG in London in 2009. Let's just say that she's a skilled laparoscopic surgeon with extensive experience in complex vaginal and instrumental deliveries. Wow. She's the woman that you want if you have a high-risk pregnancy, if you need advanced laparoscopic gynecological surgery, if you need anything cosmetic, gynecological, any sort of vaginal surgery, hysterectomies, gestational diabetes management, and so on. But she's going to be here talking with us today specifically about cold sores. Now, you're probably thinking, what does an obstetrician or gynecologist have to do with cold sores? Well, there is a connection, and she's going to tell us all about it. Anita, let's see how we're sounding now. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. Is that better?
Yes, that sounds wonderful to me. Can everybody hear Dr. Anita clearly? She's coming in nice and clear for me, so I want to make sure that you guys can hear her as well. Radio folks, how does Dr. Anita sound? She sounds beautiful to me. So Dr. Anita, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to be talking about cold sores. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking to themselves, what on earth does cold sores have to do with a consultant gynecologist? So break it down for us, because I know the answer. Some people might know the answer, but why are they connected?
So cold sores, as we all know, are basically a group of blisters which usually occur around the mouth, and it is caused by a virus called herpes simplex virus 1. Now, in the same family, there's also a virus called HSV2, which is related with sores in the genital area. And these two can be interlinked and intermixed and confused. So we'll start off with the most direct and simpler one, which is the cold sores caused by HSV1.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this herpes simplex virus, HSV1, it sounds like very, very close to HPV. Are they connected?
Not connected, fortunately.
Okay.
a different family of virus.
Mm-hmm.
And not as dangerous as the HPV, because HPV, as we all by now know, is very, very, very strongly linked to cervical cancer. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
this herpes simplex is a poor thing. It's a simple virus. It does not have any such long-standing effects.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how one actually gets this virus. It seems like it's very, very easy to transmit because it can happen through kissing or sharing utensils or lip products. Funny enough, I was literally just talking to someone over the weekend. There's a case that's circulating on social media where someone went to a makeup counter, tried on some of the, the sample products that they have there, sample makeup, and next thing you know, they have cold sore.
Hmm.
So it's that easy.
It is, unfortunately, especially when the blisters are on, like in the phase when it's an active phase and you have blisters. That is the time you must absolutely avoid sharing utensils, as you rightly pointed out, or lip products or drinks for that matter. So, a little bit more about the virus. Like you rightly said, it's quite easy to contract. In fact, it's interesting to know that most of us are exposed to the virus even as early as in childhood, and
Mm-hmm.
globally, about two-thirds of people carry the virus without even being aware of it. Now, this virus, luckily for us, does not always act up. It's very silent. We call it dormant for many,
Mm-hmm.
many years. And in some people, some women, as because I'm a gynecologist, more interested in women, it pops up when the lady goes through a period of stress or any other immunocompromised states. We'll talk more about that later. But basically,
Mm-hmm.
we all can possibly be carrying it. But it's just that if our immunity is good, we keep it suppressed and it doesn't really pop up as blisters.
Mm. Interesting.
Mm,
Now, you say that most people are actually exposed during childhood.
yes,
I know that there's a danger for babies, very young babies being exposed to this. And that's why they always say, you should not, when I see people kissing babies and stuff, I'm like, oh no, don't kiss the baby on the face or in the mouth.
correct. So
Oh
true.
my God, I'm so bothered by it when I see it.
Yes, yes. That's one thing we tell our visitors when they've come to visit our newborn babies in the maternity ward, that please use your hands and your mouth very sparingly. Keep a distance.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. We know you love the babies, but yeah, yeah, keep them safe.
No, no need to kiss babies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You might
especially
get very
especially
frustrated.
very young babies. Now, if a young baby, I've heard of some really horrific cases about this, but let me just clarify. If a young baby gets this because their immune system is so compromised, right? If a
Mhm.
young baby actually gets this, can this be fatal to young children?
So here's where we draw the line. If it's just herpes simplex 1 infection, that's basically only cold sores. Of
Uh-huh.
course, if it occurs in young babies, we would require a little bit of a medical intervention. Maybe the baby would require some drops, but it is not fatal. But the other virus, the HSV2, that is
Mm-hmm.
actually fatal, and that is what we are very watchful of. So if it is those sores and if the mother gets it in the last trimester of a pregnancy, then there's high chances of the baby getting it and fatal things in the baby. So that's a totally
Mm-hmm.
different story. But HSV1 is safe. It's simple, not too bad. Not usually
Mm.
never ever becomes fatal.
Right. Just a day ago, the BBC News had an article. We
Mhm.
like to read these articles because they're so
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
about this woman who they say had HSV1. And it's estimated that 3.8 billion people under 50 globally, or 67% of the population,
Mhm.
as the doctor just said, it's very common, actually has this cold sore virus. But she has had a very interesting reaction to it. So apparently, she now has encephalitis.
Mhm.
And they say that it's connected to her actually getting the HSV1.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, of course, when it occurs in ladies who are immunocompromised or otherwise not very healthy, it can flare
Mm-hmm.
and have many other complications. And that's why when HSV1, though we say it's simple, it doesn't really cause any harm. When it occurs in extremes of age or in people with any other illness in the backdrop, or those who are
Mm-hmm.
immunocompromised, like those probably who are on anti-cancer drugs, or those who have other infections like eczema and all that, we treat them very carefully because they could, land up with something very rare and maybe more intense and severe.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Poor lady. She was 74 years old, or she is 74 years old. So again, if you have anything underlying, definitely have to be extremely careful, as the doctor just noted. So you can get it through direct skin to skin contact with an infected person. So kissing, as well as anything contaminated, lip balm, as we just said, even cutlery.
Yes.
So we'll talk about prevention here a little bit later on, but it is so incredibly common that it's probably kind of hard to avoid it. But there's certain things that you can definitely do to help yourself. So the cold sores kind of pop up. You said a lot of people have it; it's just dormant. They don't even know that they have it.
Correct.
But if you see these blisters, that's probably a telltale sign that this is what's going on. Do you need to get a confirm? Like if you see the blisters, should you go and get confirmation that that's what it is?
If it's a simple blister and it disappears in a couple of days, even over
Mm-hmm.
the antiviral creams should work usually. We are worried if it's prolonged, like more than 2 weeks, or if it's very frequent and recurrent, or like I said, if she has something else going on, he or she, there's a immunocompromised trait or something else, then
Mm-hmm.
it's better to seek medical intervention. Then maybe they would need more oral antiviral prescription medicines.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we do have a picture here on the screen of what it looks like,
Yes.
the blisters, and it is described as small, fluid filled blisters that typically appear on or around the lips. Do we have any idea why it presents itself? I know you said it can appear in other parts of the body, but why does it present itself around the lips? Do we know why?
No, not really. But this is the characteristic of this virus, that it is around the lips. In a way, it's a good thing because when sometimes it occurs in the eyes or it spreads to the other parts, it's not so simple anymore. So we
Mm-hmm.
want it to be, if at all there, just focused around the lips.
Yeah. It's, I must tell you, it's one of those things that it's like, it almost wants people to know that you have it because, it shows up on the face. It's like,
Yes,
really?
yes,
Everybody looks at it and go, ooh, we know what that is.
yeah. Face is one of the place where we really don't want, because it's a telltale of what's happening. And even a simple thing like an acne does cause concern, I know. So, yeah, this
Hmm.
is not a nice thing, but it's a simple thing, like we've been reiterating.
Yeah. All right. So common causes, stress or fatigue. So when we say common causes, that means that you already have the virus in your body. And then
Yes,
these are things that can trigger it.
yes, absolutely.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So stress or
Mm.
fatigue, illness or weakened immune system, sun exposure. That's quite interesting.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
The simple things, like some are very sensitive to the sun rays,
Mm-hmm.
especially in an island like ours where the sun exposure is more good for us, that we don't have too many tall buildings, and we have more of the environment around us, the natural.
Mm-hmm.
But some of us can be sensitive, and that really hot day can trigger the source. Yeah, so those girls or boys or men or women should just slather themselves with more of sunscreen, and maybe cover the exposed parts. There are,
Mm-hmm.
those UV shield masks. Sometimes they help if you know that you're one of those who could get a trigger with too much of sun exposure. Even hormonal changes, like you can see, there are women who do get frequent outbursts just before or after their periods, because that's a slightly a phase where your immunity is not at its best. So,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Okay. Skin irritation or injury, such as dental work, shaving, and then certain foods or lifestyle factors in some individuals. When you say food or lifestyle, well, what are we talking about there?
So this is something like girls, I keep saying girls and women because I'm a gynecologist, but it applies to anyone, that like for some conditions like migraine, they know, the ones who
Mm-hmm.
have migraine, that some things trigger, like suppose cheese or
Mm.
spicy things, they can trigger the migraine headaches, and they're aware of it. So similarly, the ones who keep getting outbreaks of herpes, they know that
Mm-hmm.
this particular food doesn't go down well with me. So they have to identify those triggers, because it keeps coming up, and they would notice one thing which probably is going on triggering my outbreaks. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's very individualized, so which is why we don't have a list, but
Mm-hmm.
it is possible that in some individuals some things get trigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning to Miss Olivine joining us here this morning. We've got Miss Dorothy. People are listening very, very intently today to today's segment. Don't forget the phone lines are open, 936-2626. If you have a question or comment about a cold sore. I'm wondering to our listeners, have you ever had a cold sore pop up? Share an experience. Today's like share an experience day. Have you ever had a cold sore pop up at the most inconvenient time? I feel like, you're going to an event and then all of a sudden you notice a couple of days before a high stress event or, a job interview. Oh my God, that would be so crazy, right? But I'm sure it happens. Anybody wants to share an experience with us? Feel free to do so. So, common misconceptions. Let's go through some of these now. So, the first one says that cold sores are not the same as canker sores, which occur inside the mouth. Yes. Dr. Anita?
Yes, yes. The canker cells are a totally different scenario. They're not infective, and they go away with a course of B complex tablets like that. So
Mm-hmm.
these two are two different things, and yeah, these usually occur around the mouth or on the lips, whereas those
Mm-hmm.
are more on the gums and the inner parts of the mouth. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Okay. So cold sores never are inside the mouth, always on the outside.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Very
Mhm.
good. And the second most common conception, you do not need to be visibly sick to develop one.
Yeah. So, like we said, there, if you have a febrile illness or if you have a cold, flu, you might pop up blisters. That is the time when you're slightly immunocompromised. But then we do
Mm-hmm.
have people coming up and saying, "No, I've been fine. I've been very healthy. Why did I get this?" So, this is for that.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't have to be visibly sick. You might seem otherwise healthy, but you could get a outbreak. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that
Hmm.
way. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And another misconception is they can occur even in otherwise healthy individuals.
Yes, more or less the same thing, that there has doesn't have to be a visible sickness or a parameter that says, okay, if the temperature is more than 100, then that's when you're going to get the source. Not really something as simple, and doesn't really go by the book like that. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
these
Mm-hmm.
can stimulate an outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
What to do if you have a cold sore? So, avoid touching the sore to prevent spreading the virus. So, can it spread to any place on the body, or where does it normally spread to? Or,
It
or
can.
is it spreading it to other people?
Spread to other people is one thing, like you said. The other thing is it can spread to the eyes, or sometimes
Oh.
we're really able to differentiate whether it's HSV1 or HSV2, then it could spread to the genital area as well. So, yeah, those are things we really want to avoid. Spreading to the eyes, they say sometimes called
Mm-hmm.
a thing called keratitis, which can even affect your vision. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so we really want it to be localized to this area only. So that's
Mm-hmm.
uh, best way to have it. Maybe that's the, I don't know if that's the right word to say, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you have it, then it's better it's localized to this area.
Right. Yeah. So don't pick at it. Don't pop the blisters. Try not to touch it. Make sure, even though you're trying your best not to touch it, still wash your hands frequently. And then you can use over-the-counter antiviral creams early on, first signs of it, and that will help, I guess, to shorten
Yes.
the infection, the visibly infection phase.
Mm.
And you can also apply a cold compress to reduce discomfort. Does it typically hurt? Is it a very painful?
They say it's a tingling kind of a thing, not extremely
Oh.
painful. Like when we say extremely painful in our scale of 1,
Mm-hmm.
we have those chicken pox sores and blisters
Oh
which
my gosh,
really
I
pain.
remember those.
Yeah. So this could be anywhere between 1 to 3.5, maybe on that scale. So
Mm-hmm.
they're more of a discomfort and a tingling sensation, not too much of the pain component.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. More of an eyesore than anything else, pun intended.
Yeah.
All right. So avoid sharing utensils, lip products, or drinks. So if you live in a household with children, for example, and you know that you are having, I'm assuming if it's dormant, can it be transmitted even when it's dormant, or is it only when you have active sores?
Only when you have active sores, because dormant, like we discussed, can be there in everybody, and
Uh-huh. Okay. So once you have visible sores, you would want to, are you going to separate yourself from like eating at the dinner table, or what do you do?
maybe you can have your own cutlery and not share. That should be fair enough, because it's only close contact, touching, kissing, which is going to spread it. Just
Mm-hmm.
over the dinner table may be fine. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, our good old masks you could use when you're in a public space or in a room with many people, closed spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But the main factor
Um,
is touching, kissing, that much of a close contact.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
And there will be people who try to cover it up with
Makeup.
makeup. Yes. Is that a good idea?
Um, Actually, when it's in the blister stage, it's really difficult to cover with makeup.
Yeah.
But no harm if it's a good product and it's not carrying some kind of infection like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But is it possible to reinfect yourself? Like with, I don't know if that's, I mean, once you have the infection, you have it, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you're using your lip gloss during an active
Uh-huh.
flare up, and then do you have to throw out makeup products or not really? Because you already have the virus.
If it's only you, it should be okay. But it's always better, because we are also looking at something called super infection. So that could also happen. Like there's a blister and it could get contaminated by a bacteria. So it's better that whatever you've used at that time, either you clean it or remove that layer, or best is get a fresh one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 9362626. Or if you have a WhatsApp question, you can certainly send it through as well. So let's talk now about some of the treatments and management for the cold sores and what can be done.
Mhm. So antiviral medications, the commonly used one is something called acyclovir. That's most of the places available over the counter. And
Mm-hmm.
cream, you keep applying it twice or 3 times a day for about 5 days to 7 days. And it usually reduces the intensity, the discomfort, and the duration of. If it's really paining, like we discussed, the pain score is not too high, but even a Tylenol or a paracetamol could relieve the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like we have already gone through, it's best to keep the area dry, non-interfered, and I think that's about it. Cold compresses help to reduce the tingling and discomfort, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's prolonged, like more than 2 weeks, definitely needs a medical intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm. Okay. All right, very good. So those are some of the things that you can do if you have a severe frequent outbreak. Then obviously, that's when you want to seek medical attention. That's when you'd speak to Dr. Anita, and they can get you on a prescription treatment. But just keep it clean and dry, and you can use over-the-counter creams, oral medication to just help with the discomfort. When you should seek medical care. So this is now when Dr. Anita is going to come into the picture. It gets more serious. Cold sores that last longer than 2 weeks, because that's an indication that this is quite a serious infection.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
like you pointed out in your story, any smaller children or extremes of age, elderly women getting it, it's better they come to us. We might them start them on oral antiviral medications as well, and also assess their general status. Apart from that, yeah, anyone getting frequent or more severe outbreaks, or herpes spreading to other areas, eye or
Hmm.
else, is again a red flag, and we really want you to see us at that point of time.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. And when you have, for example, an infant catching it, what sort of treatments would you have to undertake if it's a small child or an infant? Is it the same, pretty much the same medications?
So I am going to pass that question, Sandra, because it's a pediatric specialty there.
Okay.
We would let them answer it because they would
Uh,
talk about the dosage and the other things that they would do. Yeah.
so the treatment protocol
Yes.
is slightly different for
Yes.
infants and small
Yes.
children. Okay. All right. So you're listening to the program today and you're thinking, okay, well, if everybody has this, why is this even a discussion? Why is it a big deal? Because there are some people, as we've already gleaned, that are considered high risk. And you should know if you're in a high risk category so that you can just keep an extra watch if you see a flare up or if you see some blisters around the mouth, that you're one of those people that because of your risk characterization, you might need to see a physician. So let's talk about who these individuals are. So anyone with a weakened immune system. How does your immune system get weakened? Lots of different things, but here's a few examples. You've got cancer, transplant recipients, HIV, any sort of autoimmune disorder. Those are some of the things that can certainly weaken your immunity. Doctor, people experiencing high stress or chronic fatigue, you talked about that earlier as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it's difficult to categorize anybody into a high stress group. And yeah, if we talk to some people in general, uh, many of us would put ourselves in a high stress group. But yeah, if you are really getting very frequent sores, or the outbreaks are more common, yeah, more or less frequent, then you have to look at your job profile or your things at home, and where you need to space yourself out, and maybe catch up on more sleep, or regulate your workout. So yeah, those are the things that we have to look in. But yeah, high stress groups are definitely more risk to develop this.
Mhm.
Uh,
Frequent sun exposure,
Get
we
job.
talked about that as well.
Mm-hmm. And those with recurrent cold sores, yes, that also means that there's something underlying in their immune system or in their lifestyle that needs to be looked into. And it's better they drop in for a visit once, so that we help them in identifying the trigger factors.
Hmm.
Mhm. And
All right. Someone wants to know, can you get it? Can drooling trigger it? Mm.
sorry, yeah, drooling, you said, Sandra?
Yes.
Yes, and if that falls on somebody, yes.
Uh-huh.
So
Huh.
if it's while
So
sleeping,
any saliva contact.
yes, yes, yes. So you might want to, isolate yourself maybe in that period of time, because if you're sharing pillows, yeah, that could also help
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
avoid that.
Yes. Okay. All right. So the short answer really is any sort of you know, saliva, drool, yes. And then children, other high risk group, obviously children and young adults. Initial infection often occurs early in life, but you have to watch it with children, small children, babies, and young adults as well. And people with skin conditions like eczema are at high risk of spreading it and complications. What's the connection with eczema? That's kind of interesting.
That's because the skin is already a little damaged, we could say it.
Okay.
Ongoing thing. Plus, this infection may not really stick on to that mild category. It could flare up, become more. And these girls are already on some kind of medicines and suppressants to, keep the condition
Mm-hmm.
in control. So then this, like we discussed, immunocompromised, or then this can be more severe. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the girls who already have, or people who already have a condition like eczema, if they get that also, it's better you drop by to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Very good. We do have a question here. Let me just pull up this question. Dr. Anita is with us today, and we're specifically discussing cold sores. Dr. Anita is a consultant OBGYN. So if you go there, ladies, you're likely to see her for all of your female appointments. And don't forget, when you do your executive health checks, you want to ensure that that includes the female option, so you can get your annual pap smear and just any discussions, because they do talk to you, quite frankly, about what else might be going on in your life. So here's a question for us. This person says, "Hey, question, anonymous, please. I remember years ago when I had my first child, you learned not to make people kiss your infants. On one occasion, I was searching up the reasons, and of course, cold sore was the main reason. However, I read that even if you don't have an active outbreak, you can have asymptomatic shedding, and a person with the HSV virus can still pass the virus during their asymptomatic shedding. Ask the doctor about it. It concerns me because that means that even if you avoid people who have it and you take all the precautions, what should parents do in this situation? Not let people kiss their kids at all?" Yes, I would say. But doctor,
Yes,
um,
with you, Sandra, you got it right. Yeah, it's best to keep them away. It's okay. There are
yeah,
other ways of showing your love. Let's get on with that and avoid kissing and so much of a close contact, because it's not just about cold sores. There's so many other things which can get transmitted to the little one. They've just come to the world. Let's give them some space. That's how I see it.
yeah, asymptomatic shedding is a thing then as well.
Yeah,
Hmm. And I will say that, Caribbean people tend to be more cautious with babies. We grew up in an environment where you don't really take babies out the first month or two. You give them an opportunity to have their immune system build up. I know some of our American and maybe European counterparts, they don't do that. They throw babies into the world. They have a 1 day old baby in a restaurant. Caribbean people, child, please. The mama isn't going anywhere. We're not about that life. So I think that offers some degree of protection when it comes to children and the things that they can pick up, right?
definitely.
Um,
Mhm.
including this. But I don't know what people's obsession is really about kissing babies. Don't kiss babies. I hate it. I hate to see people doing it. I know we're like, oh, they're so sweet, and they have a little smell to them, and everybody's like, they're so cuddly. But I'm always like, look, I had a preemie, so I was very, very extra cautious. I'm like, just stay away from a distance. You can wave at the baby, like, from a distance. There's no need to get too close. Potential complications that are less common, but still a potential concern, is a secondary bacterial infection.
Yeah.
So, you talked earlier about getting it in the eye area. Oh my gosh, this can be serious, right?
Yes, 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 Sandra. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Even the secondary bacterial infection. So then it becomes, instead of being a blister with clear fluid, which would disappear on its own, it becomes infected with bacteria, and then it becomes a pus filled thing. And that would take a longer time, and it would need more antibiotics and other set of things which would come in then. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly why we don't want it to be popped or picked, like we discussed.
right.
Mm.
Um, they said, what about adults who are kissing each other in the cheek? When you meet people, they want to kiss you in the cheek and stuff. Is it likely that you could get it from a cheek kiss as opposed to direct contact
Yes, if
on
you're
on
having
the lips?
a break, sorry, if you're
Mm-hmm.
having a break, definitely yes, kissing would
Mm-hmm.
spread, but otherwise it should be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, folks. Some good questions there. So when it's involved in the eye, the name changes to herpes keratitis.
Yes, that's what it.
Oh.
Mm.
Wow, very interesting. All right,
Mm.
so more severe prolonged outbreaks in immunocompromised individuals. We have talked about that a number of times already. So let's now talk about prevention, folks. How do you prevent it? Don't go around kissing everybody. That's a good way to start. So avoid close contact with people, especially during active outbreaks. And then you can also identify and manage what triggers it in you. So we've talked about stress, sun exposure, as some of the triggers. If you already have, underlying skin condition, make sure then that you're cognizant that you may have more frequent outbreaks, and do everything you can to maintain a strong immune system. Sleeping, yay, team! I need more sleep. Dr. Anita, we were talking yesterday about the importance of sleep, and we've talked about it with the experts at Health City, obviously. And it seems like a good portion of our population here in the Cayman Islands says that they don't get adequate sleep. So sleep is good. It helps your body repair itself. It helps you with stress. It helps cortisol levels. Everything comes back to sleep, diet,
Especially
nutrition.
when it even improves their growth, their height spurts, everything. Like nowadays, we see our teenagers are more hooked to the social media, but they should, really allot that time for their sleep because it really helps
Mm-hmm.
of their growth factors.
Mm-hmm. And don't share personal items like towels. Oh, towels too?
It's always
Ah.
our own personal towel, whatever
Mm-hmm.
with others in the house.
Yeah. I'm always paranoid when you travel and you have
Yes,
to use stuff in a hotel,
yes,
you know,
yes.
because yeah, you don't know how close like the germaphobe in me is like, ugh, travel with your own towel. Lip products and utensils. Now, when you say utensils, I mean knife and fork, we use those in a restaurant. There's only so much you can avoid,
Yeah.
probably not sharing some utensils at some point, right? Does it, I mean, can you, if you wash them in super hot water, does that kill
Yes, it
the, yeah?
we're more talking about like maybe sharing the same glass, like you take a sip and then another
Ah,
pour, that kind of
yes.
a thing. Yeah. So, but
Mm-hmm.
washing definitely.
Yeah. And you see, this is why when my husband, he always says to me, "Oh, you're so scornful." That's what Caribbean people call it. Because I refuse, like, I'm not drinking after anybody, not even him, even my own daughter. He's like, "That's your own daughter." I'm like, no, no, no. Because I also want to teach her, don't
Yeah.
just randomly drink after people and share their forks and stuff like that. So this is good reinforcement as to why there's nothing wrong with being germful, apparently. So,
There are other
um,
ways to express our love and affection. Let's keep this to ourselves.
mhm. Yep, I agree. Plain and Straight says, I hate to see people kissing babies on the mouth, face, hands, or feet. This is just dangerous and wrong when so many diseases can be passed so easily. Absolutely. And people just, oh my gosh, babies, I get it. I do get it. I know they're cuddling, whatever, but don't do it. You know? Yeah. So don't kiss babies. No good. Good morning, Miss Alba. How are you? So good to have you here. Is there anything else that we need to know? I think we've covered all of our slides and our notations here. Dr. Anita is at Health City. Are you primarily at the Camana Bay location?
Yes, Sandra, I am.
Yeah, because they have the NICU, they have the maternity ward, and so the gynecological team, it's a whole team of them, are there waiting to to service you.
We
So
also have
reach out to them.
beautiful midwives. Beautiful when I say very talented and experienced and very
Yeah.
supportive. I think that's a very nice feature there.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Midwives, a good midwife can make all the difference in the world. So thank you so much, Dr. Anita. This has been a very interesting conversation. Let me just check and see if there's any other questions. Oh, yes. So let's see. This person says, I don't like people hugging and kissing me, but sometimes people do so on occasions. How long does the virus live outside the body on a surface? Yes. So how long does it live outside the body?
The rule of the thumb is basically as long as the blisters are there. So you can throw in an extra day or two and maybe wait it out till they're totally flat surface and you don't see anything externally.
Mhm.
You're safe and you are safe too.
Yeah. So on a surface, like on a cup,
Yes.
like if it's 2 hours later, is the virus still live on that cup?
Difficult to say. I've actually not really seen the
Okay.
numbers, but unless it's washed and sterilized, it's better to avoid that cup.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita.
Thank you. Thank you for
We
having
really
me. It was
appreciate you coming on the program today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
All right, folks. Medical Rundown Tuesday is very, very interesting. Let me see if I'm going to do a little AI question. Hold on. I'm going to ask my AI research tool, how long does the HSV one remain on objects? But yeah, don't use it at all. I mean, just throw it in the wash, put some bleach on it. I'm scornful like that. I've been trying to use less bleach because I know that bleach actually isn't good for you, but I feel like if bleach doesn't kill you, it's going to kill whatever else you're trying to kill. So it says HSV1 can stay detectable on some objects for hours to days. You see what I'm telling you? But it usually becomes non-infectious fairly quickly, and surface transmission is considered very unlikely. Survival time, on objects. So lab tests have found, my apologies, infectious HSV1 on skin for up to 2 hours, on cloth, towels and stuff, for up to 3 hours, and on plastic, about 4 hours. On frequently touched surfaces like doorknobs, because when you think about it, right? Somebody could touch the sore, it could be on their hands, and then their hands, they transmit it to doorknobs and other stuff. Oh my God. Oh, I'm going to have a moment here now where I'm going to feel an episode coming on where I'm getting very, very scornful. And you know what that happens? Everything starts itching. Like my head all of a sudden feels itchy. My skin feels itchy. I'm just like, ah! Okay, let's all calm down, folks. It's not that serious. We probably already all have it. I've never had a cold sore, knock on wood. So I don't know. Maybe I'm one of the 20% or less that may not have this. I don't even know. But anyway, surfaces like doorknobs and taps, infectious virus can be recovered for at least 2 hours with a sharp drop in amount after 30 to 60 minutes. Under ideal control conditions where it's cool, low humidity, HSV can persist on dry, inanimate surfaces for much longer, from hours up to several weeks, but those conditions are not typical of everyday environments. Lord. What does this mean for real-world risk? Sexual Health and Herpes Foundation emphasizes that HSV is fragile. It does not live long on normal household services. And so there's no documented cases of people actually catching herpes from things like toilet seats and dishes, but I imagine they're still catching it. The main way that HSV1 is spread is direct skin to skin or mucous membrane contact with an infected person. So kissing, oral sex, especially when there's an active cold sore. So thank you, AI Samantha. She came through for us again with lots of detailed information. So please stop kissing babies. Don't do it. Even you as a parent. You know, I know moms like, oh, it came out of my woo-woo, so why can't I kiss it? No. Keep that little baby protected for as long as you can, because, you know, some of y'all mothers, we don't know where your lips been. Well, you know, but we don't know. But I'm just saying, don't kiss the baby, right? Keep just hug them. They're still sweet. You can still hug their little necks. Just don't make it touch your lips or anything. Just hug them, and, you know, yeah. Because remember, babies put everything in the hands, their feet, everything goes right into the mouth. So it's so easy for them to be compromised. Island Pearl, good morning. I'm standing again. That's why y'all kind of see me shifting and moving a little bit. So let's see how we did yesterday with our walking. Big shout out to Shamari. He's motivating us silently. He's not here today, but he's silently motivating us to get moving. So we're using a new STEP app where you can invite people into the app to see how collectively you all do together. Let me check my results from yesterday. Hold on one second now. So what I did yesterday to try to get moving, let's see. Oh, yesterday I almost reached my goal of 7,500 steps. Oh man, I was at $73.99. I should have walked Zeus a little bit longer. So I'll tell you what we did yesterday. I went to the dentist. Make sure you go to the dentist, folks. It's so important. I can't stress how important your oral health is, not just for pretty teeth, but they keep tartar at bay, gum disease, all sorts of stuff. I haven't been wearing my retainer, so I think I gotta do something. There's a couple little gaps like right there, little minor ones, but still you want to keep your teeth as close together as possible. Less stuff gets trapped in there. So I may have to do like Invisalign or something to bring them back in and then start wearing my retainer like I'm supposed to. Naughty, shame on me. But anyway, so we went to the dentist and I go to Camana Bay. I've been going to them from when they were in Merco Center with Dr. Ironstone. I think Dr. Ironstone has finally retired. He's like gone. Yeah, but he was there forever and a day. So, so I went, I did my cleaning, gonna do everything, looked okay, no cavities, praise the Lord. We're gonna just do a little follow-up appointment. And then I do have to do another implant. So, Lord, we got to save up some money for that because implants don't come cheap. But anywho, so I'm going to do that this year. I think I'll get the process started. It takes a little while to do an implant. It's like a multi-step process. But anywho, yes. So then where we were parked, we were going to go for lunch. So Gigi got to pick the lunch spot. So she was out of school yesterday. So she wanted to go to Loco for some Mexican food. So we went there. And then she orders chicken tenders. I'm like, Gigi, why are we here? You pick Mexican. I'm thinking maybe you want some Mexican. She's like, aren't French fries Mexican? I'm like, girl, please. I said, no, French fries are not Mexican. Anyway, that's where she wanted to go. So that's where we went for lunch. So we walked. We were parked over by the dentist. We walked to Loco, and then she had some money in her little wallet that she's been saving up. So we were going to go do a bank deposit at CNB. So I said, we're walking, honey child, because we're trying to get our steps in. So we're walking. I'm going to just do some simulated walking right now. So we decided then to walk from Loco to CNB. And then she's like, oh, Mom, I forgot the wallet in the car. Because she didn't really think about, okay, we were going to walk to the bank. And I said, yeah, the bank is right here. So we walked back to the car, no problem, got her little wallet, and then we walk back over to CNB. It's not really that far when you think about it. So it was a good little, get your steps in kind of thing. And so then when we got there, I was trying to teach her how to do her own bank deposit. So I made her fill out the form. This is the first time she filled it out herself. I'm like, okay, you see here, it says you put your name and then you do this and you do that. So she was filling it out. And then I showed her how to do the breakdown. It was cash, how to do the breakdown of the quantity. She only had like $237. But she's like, this is a lot of money. And I said, well, it's a lot of money that you're going to be saving now. And then, so she filled out the quantity, made her do the math in her head, verified it, filled out the little form. And so she put that money in her bank account. She was so happy, good to go. And then she starts asking questions like, what does the bank do with your money? Where does it go? I just gave this to the bank, but where does it go? And I'm like, well, they actually hold her money for us. And she's like, hold it where and why? Good morning, caller. Okay. All right. So she had a lot of questions about this. Let me see. What am I reading here? Give me 1 second, honey chill. So she's like, yes, where does the money go? And what does the bank do with it? And how do you get your money back? And trying to explain to her, okay, we're coming to this. Yes, ma'am. We are coming to this. Do not worry, because I was investigating this last night. Thank you, ma'am. In fact, I was waiting on an email to come through. Okay, so let me just have a quick look because I need to see if there was a press release that was going to be coming out in relation to this. There's a reason why I haven't yet published this on social media. So let me just see here now. All right. Let me just have a look. I need to see if there's an email because I was expecting something in relation to this. And then I'll tell you guys all about it. Let me see. I'm just checking my emails. So anyway, we got, as many steps in as we could yesterday. So, yes. So we were happy. And you know what is even more important is I was able to say to Gianna, she's like, oh, this is really good, Mom. Let's walk more. Let's get more steps in. I was like, yes, girl. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so nothing yet. No press release. Okay, well, we're gonna have to talk about it regardless. I was hoping to have something in my inbox, but I don't see it there. Nope. Just double checking. All right. So listen, a lot of you would have seen there was in circulation a okay. Right. So there was in circulation and public notice about increases in the bus fare. And I wanted to talk about this after having verified a few things with the ministry. So that unfortunately hasn't yet happened. I was told a press release would be forthcoming, but that hasn't happened yet. So we'll talk about it as much as we can this morning, knowing that we don't have all the details because the ministry's press release has not come out yet. That's why I was just checking my email. Yes, Strong Will says, Auntie, I'm laughing out loud. Gigi wants her money back. Child, she's like, what can I do with this money? What can I buy? And I said, we are not buying anything. We are putting it in the bank. And she's like, why? So I explained this to her. Yes, Live Happy. I did explain that, the banks take our money in different ways. So we have money on deposit with them. And I said, but they also loan money. So I said, when you hear people talking about they have a car loan, they have mortgages, that's the bank loaning you money. And then she was like, oh, well, can I get a credit card since I have an account? I was like, no. I said, credit cards are bad. You don't want a credit card. I said, then I tried to explain to her the difference between a debit card, where that's the money you actually have in your account, versus a credit card and the interest that, I don't know if she understood what interest really meant, but what comes with a credit card and the high interest that you pay. I'm like, credit cards are bad. Teach your kids early on that credit cards are things that they should run from, like they do these cold sores, like the plague. Yeah. All right. Morning. Paul says, what happened to playing pickleball? You can burn more calories playing. The knee, I've been easing back into it, but we had knee surgery. So we're getting there. All right. So listen up, folks. This was shared yesterday. This is a public notice in relation to increase in the bus fares. It says that it's going to be effective on May the 4th. Here's the thing about this. I have a couple questions, okay? Number one question is, where on here does it say who this public notice is from? I want you guys to follow me. I know some of y'all buses, bus drivers and so on, you're paying attention, you're listening, but here is why you need to listen. Because you put up a public notice and nobody signs it. There's no accountability for this public notice. And this is why I was hesitant. I got it several times yesterday. I'm like, well, who is this from? How do I know that this is legit? I could have typed this up. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So yeah, I've got questions about this, and I was trying to get answers from the ministry, and I was told that there was a press release that was actually coming. Because here's the problem: we've been down this road before, where we have a increase in fees, and then the government steps in and says, no, 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 we're not having any increase in fees. So I didn't want to put it out there to start the panic and the discussion in the public domain with you guys going, well, we can't afford an increase right now. Everybody hurting, gas prices, da, da, da. Well, I can understand why the buses are probably thinking they need it because, of course, thanks to Trump, over $100 a barrel, to fill up those vans, those taxi vans, and most of them don't look like they're the most, they're not the most economical in terms of gas usage, right? Child, they should be trying to use hybrid vehicles to pick up people, buses. But we don't have any verification that this is actually going to happen. And in fact, my unofficial sources, so in other words, I don't have the press release yet. My unofficial sources say that this is not something that has yet been approved or confirmed by the ministry or the transportation unit. And in fact, I think nobody ran this by them at all. This was just sent out. So this is going to happen again. When did this happen last time? Do you guys remember? Let me have a quick look. I'm trying to remember when this was. Let me see here now. It was definitely when Kenneth Bryan, when transport fell under him. And let me just see if I can find it. So we posted it. I think it's been a couple of years now. Oh, yes, here it is. Boy, thank the Lord for thank the Lord for Facebook. Because boy, you can go back in history and find stuff. All right, so here it is. And here's the irony of it, right? Is it not funny how you guys will see what I'm thinking is funny here in a second. Our brains kind of operate the same way all the time from one year to the next, right? So when this was posted in 2022, we're now in 2026, almost 4 years later. This was September 2022. Look at the question. Well, no official announcement, but yes, folks, the very bus fares have gone up. And you notice what I'm saying this morning? The same thing. No official announcement. I'm here looking for the official announcement. And yeah, I'm saying there's no official announcement in 2022. And I'm saying it again in 2026. No official announcement. Is this legit? Because a couple days after we posted that, it was withdrawn and the bus drivers and the bus owners were told by the government to stand down, that they were not going to be permitted to increase any fees. So I kind of feel like this is going to be deja vu. It's going to happen all over again. So, I was trying not to put it out there until I had some sort of official position on this from public transport or the ministry. So all I'm going to do this time, I'm going to put up deja vu. And then I'm going to put a little caption. And, my sentiments are the same. No official announcement. And it was rolled back before. So what will happen now? This is going to be now. Okay. So I'm going to put that up. So there's not much more I can say to you, except we've been down this road before. Now let's compare the prices. So back then they were going from up to $375, $625. Let's see what we're looking at now. So $375 is the same. North side, they wanted to increase it to, were these US prices? Oh, CI from Georgetown to East End, they were suggesting $5 in 2022. And now they're suggesting Georgetown to East End $4.50. So they've come in a little bit lower. That's interesting. Georgetown to Rum Point, they're suggesting $9. Georgetown Jiffy at $3. Back then, they didn't have Rum Point on here. So this one was less of a comprehensive statement. Now, listen, I'm going to be fair here, right? I do want to be fair to the public bus drivers, because in this one back in 2022, they say that the fares have not increased in 20 years, right? They didn't get the increase then, as I recall. And so now now it's 24 years. Yes, they updated it, mess with them. So that's correct. They have not had a fee increase in quite a while. And the question becomes, at what point do we say, listen, the gas prices are going up. Are we going to just sit back and not allow these drivers to ever get an increase? Well, I don't really think that that's fair. I'm thinking there has to be something. My only question, I believe, is whether or not public transport unit has authorized this, or is this going to be another situation where, by tomorrow, by later on this afternoon, the government is going to be telling them, no, honey child, that's not how it works. You can't do it this way. And we start all over again. Having said that, I do think that it is incumbent on the government to sit down with the bus drivers and have a discussion around this, because 24 years is a long time. To not have a fare increase when everything else in those 24 years has certainly, gone up. So Uncle Shanks on Instagram says oil will go back down at some point in time. This is ridiculous. Well, in the meantime, while oil isn't going down, my question is, what do you expect business owners to do? So are you saying that, if it stays like this for a year, we don't know how long the good Lord is going to allow Trump to keep breathing, because the American people seem ill-equipped to deal with him. So we're going to have to leave it in the good hands of the Lord. We're going to just sit back and wait. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they probably deserve some kind of an increase, especially since it's been 24 years. The price of oil has not gone down in 24 years, cheaper than it was 24 years ago. That much I know. So come on now. I think we got to be fair and balanced when we consider our options here and what's going on. So what's your take on this? 9362626 is el número de teléfono. Dime what you think. Do you believe that it is time for bus drivers to be able to get a fee increase? Let's do a poll, shall we? Why not? Why not? Poll question of the day. Should bus drivers, and again, we're assuming it's from them. I do have a little bit of an issue with this because it doesn't take any accountability in terms of, let me see here. In terms of who this is from, but should bus operators, let me put it that way, get a fee increase? Question mark. Now, let's put that in there. Yes and no. All right. So, I can attach a little image. Let me see if I can put the public notice image on there. Oh yeah, okay. All right, look at that. Fancy. Oh, WhatsApp is so fancy. Okay, so I'm going to include that in there so people can see, because maybe some of you have not seen this. And so I'll put the image there for you to see. All right, so start voting in WhatsApp. Allow multiple answers? No, just one answer, yes or no. All right, so should bus operators get a fee increase now? And maybe I should, they got to allow you the ability to edit the polls once you've done them. But anyway, there's the poll question, and I will certainly be sharing that with some others as well. All right, curious to see how you guys feel about the poll. Looking forward to your participation, the poll question. This person says, you are teaching her well because a credit card will get you in trouble, child. Don't we know that? 24 years is a long time. There's nothing that is the same price from 24 years ago. And I do agree with that. Even the physicians, remember we were talking about their customary fees being unchanged for well over 20 years as well. Is it time to make those adjustments? If we had good bus service, says Miss Sue, but we don't. But listen, whether you have good bus service or not, good meaning it's going to show up at a particular time, it's reliable. Here is the thing. There are people who do survive on the bus system. But I see your point, because I know that the ministry has been particularly concerned about bus drivers who don't run their route. Speaking of that, I think we actually have a complaint in relation to that. Hold on. And this person actually sent evidence. Yes, this was sent to me on Wednesday of last week. Says, Miss Sandra, good morning to you. I'm sending the video to show you how these bus drivers is not running these routes as they should. I'm working in East End and I have to reach for 7 a.m. and they passed me on Crew Road at 7:30 and I was there from 6 a.m. They turn around and go back to town, making people late for work. And they actually have evidence here. Let's see. Let's download their video. So yes, I mean, point taken. But once you get on that bus and it takes you on the route, on the journey, you still have to pay for it, right? You're not going to get it for free, that's for sure. So the argument is, Sandy, we're paying for bad service. I'm saying you're not necessarily getting no service at all. Do you feel a way that you have to pay for bad service? I guess that's the question. Live Happy says, does it need to increase? After all, Cayman is small and the distance has not increased either. We're still 22 miles long, but the gas prices, Live Happy, come on now. Gas prices have increased. So it takes you more money to go from point A to point B, although the distance from point A to point B hasn't changed. So nobody's suggesting that the distance has changed. What has changed is what you pay at the pump. I filled up my car on Saturday, and the light was on. It was definitely on E. And yeah, I could see a couple dollars more being added to the total bill. And I was like, okay. Anthony says, Sandy, hybrid vehicles is only a fallacy. The extra purchase cost and upkeep doesn't justify saving on a depreciating asset. It's just total nonsense. Purchase cost is like 10K to 20K more than regular classes consuming vehicles. For the life of the vehicle, you would never use that amount of gas. I don't know if I'm going to agree with you on this, Anthony. I think that you might be operating on some misinformation. Now, I'm not a hybrid specialist. So let me ask my AI assistant, Sam, here to intervene on our behalf. And I'm going to ask Sam to fact check your comment and give us some feedback. Because, yeah. And I don't know that hybrid vehicles are more expensive. I don't think that that's necessarily true either from what I know about, hybrid vehicles, because we have a hybrid right now and I've had a hybrid in the past. It wasn't more expensive than a traditional non-hybrid, so I don't think that that's right either. Good morning, Miss Lovita Dixon joining us. She said she's listening live from Honduras, Roatan Island. Thank you so much. She says that I like listening to you. The WhatsApp number you sent me said it is it is invalid, which WhatsApp number do you have? Because we do have multiple numbers. So it depends on which one you have, but the show number, if you want to call, and guess what, Miss Lovita, you can call on WhatsApp too, is area code 345-936-2626. Always put the area code in front of it. Gabby says, I'm a bit on the fence with this because has the service gotten any better? But hold on, stick a pin, Gabby. When you go buy food and the price of the food has gone up because the price of the food has gone up, right? So you're sitting down at your favorite restaurant and eggs, when eggs were going up, they added an extra $1 or $2 to the eggs. The service was the same, was it not? You didn't get better service just because you were paying more for food. And the gas analogy is going to be the same. You're not getting better service, but you're still paying more for fuel. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to take less of a loss on the fuel than anything else. This isn't about the service. Now, would it be nice if we had some decent service? Of course. Caller, good morning.
Morning.
How you doing, honey chill?
I feel like I'm in the mood to change your example a little bit.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
How about instead of Gabby going to a restaurant and being served,
Yes.
Gabby owns the restaurant.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it costs Gabby $105 for the drink. But she could only sell it for $1.
Oh, yes.
How about that one?
Yeah. I mean, this is it, right? I think a lot of times we're not thinking as business owners. So we're not putting ourselves in the shoes of the people who actually own the business. And that's unfortunate because I know most of us are simple consumers. Even when we had the whole discussion some months back about the condiments and whatever, a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't want to pay for condiments. But, when you know a thing or two about the restaurant business, if you've ever owned a restaurant, you will understand the struggle.
Yeah.
So are you in favor then of after 20 something years, bus drivers getting a pay increase?
I'm in favor of completely revamping the way it's done, because if government wants to control everything, then they're going to have to act in real time, because business owners can't wait until government gets in after breakfast to look at things that affect their lives in very dramatic ways.
Okay.
So, I mean, quite frankly, if there should be some formula that's prescribed, and just whenever a person's costs go up, they just document it in a certain way and they adjust it. Or government is going to have to be on the ball. If the price is going up this morning, I don't expect that they'll have an announcement by this afternoon. I expect it to be at the time that it will be effective. The approval would have had to have been in place.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem though. Like I said, this is why I really wanted some sort of an indication on who this was coming from, because unfortunately we don't know. You know what I'm saying? This is not from government. I mean, I think it's safe to say that this is not a ministry level decision. These are the bus drivers. They haven't really signed their name on it. So this is the difficulty that we have, is that how on earth do we have this being done, but nobody's even taking accountability for it. Like that kind of low key doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know what you're actually looking at and what it says or anything, or who is doing it and doing what specifically. But I'm just saying that the government, I've heard in the past how the government delay on these things, because that's unacceptable. Yeah. It's that don't even think that that's acceptable. Right. We need to move away from that. And because what it is a disrespect to the people running those businesses as a bus. Right. So I think we need to. You have people in place that have the capacity to properly resolve these types of issues that have a real impact on people's lives. Let's just do it. That's. I mean, I just throw out an example about a prescribed formula. That's all I think the government needs to solve it. Just do it. So,
okay.
Anyhow, I'll leave it there.
Yes, 936-2626. What's your position on this in reference to the bus fares? I'm going to show you this video that this lady shared with us. Again, alleging that her bus driver makes her late because he doesn't even stop, I guess. I mean, this is so weird. But here's the footage that she had. Let's watch this now. And feel free to call in and weigh in on this one. But here we go. Oh, hold on. Let me take this other. All right. So here's what she sent us. We see the bus driver passing her by. And it's a little bit shaky there. Let's see. Okay. We couldn't see much of him. All right. Where is this pickup? So there's the bus. He's on the other side. Is he supposed to come back over on your side and pick you up? Okay. Still waiting to see where he is. I'm seeing a lot of pavement there. Okay. Y'all gotta do some.
You're going eastern? Okay.
Okay, not the best video in the world. Try and get us decent videos, folks. You know, if you guys want to be sending content to CMR, get yourself a little selfie stick or at least something to hold it steady. So the video wasn't particularly convincing me, but I guess I'm not arguing that maybe you weren't late for work, you didn't get left, but what a hot mess. Tartarian says no increase. Go vote in the poll, honey child. Evelyn says hybrid vehicles is very expensive to maintain, especially if you need to replace a part. Sometimes you can't find it. Well, this is why y'all need to purchase vehicles that parts are readily available. I'm just saying. However, like I said, as someone who's owned now multiple hybrid vehicles, what I would say is what catches up with you, and this will happen, you know, probably way down the line, is when that hybrid battery, which was something I didn't even know about. I didn't understand enough about hybrid vehicles to know that they actually have two batteries. You have a hybrid battery and a regular battery. When you need to replace that hybrid battery apparently is going to cost you about $5,000 to $6,000. That's the going price for hybrid batteries. But that's not something you should be replacing probably within the first 10, 15 years of the vehicle. And I don't know how many of you even keep vehicles that long anymore. But yeah, there is that particular cost that it's something that obviously you have to consider. Strong Wilt says, kaboom, Auntie Sandy. Island Pearl says to report them to the public transport unit because they have a route to follow. That is true. They are supposed to be following it. Anthony says, I keep saying the cost of living now transportation is going to take this good government to the gallows. All started for the wages that wasn't introduced in increments, another rogue movement, and not paying attention to the global environment. Well, to be fair to the government, Anthony, even the previous progressive government has said that there's a lot that they have no control over when it comes to the cost of living. They say that when they're in power, and when they're out of power, then they claim that, oh, there's something you can do about it. Y'all need to make up your minds about how this actually works. However, what I will say is that there are when you talk about the global environment, there were things globally that we could not predict, such as Looney Tunes. Well, we all knew he was crazy, but Looney Tunes, what's his name? Donald Trump. We couldn't predict that he was going to start a war with Iran for no good reason. when the man had been saying for 20 years that he was the no war president. So there are some things that are predictable in the ordinary course of life. And then there's some people and some things that are just unpredictable, Anthony. You can't figure them for nothing. All right, Keith, he weighs in here. Keith, have you voted in the poll? He says they do deserve a fee increase because they have to pay for gas. They have to pay the bus drivers, and they also need to maintain their buses. They have to pay for insurance, and they have to pay to get the business license. They have to pay for pension and health insurance. In other words, the cost of doing business for them is there just like every other business owner. But for some people, it is definitely more than others. Yes. Tartarian says loud music, no night bus, no Sunday bus, not running the route, poor air AC. Some of the things that those of you who have to take the bus systems have to contend with. I mean, is it time that government just take over the bus system? I mean, they keep talking about they're looking at things, public transport, whatever. I think we got to have the minister on to talk about where we are with this. Because yes, that the bus drivers will get upset because then they're going to be out of a job. You know, they'll have all these taxi buses here that will be of no use once the government takes it over. But maybe that's the only way that you can guarantee quality of service is to have it be a government operated situation, and then government can be held to account, right? So when you're employed by government, you better take the route. You don't have a choice. If you don't take the route, you're going to get fired. You're going to lose your job. I'm just saying you have better quality control when the people actually work for you, as opposed to them all being independent. What do we call them? Independent contractors. No increases, Tartarian. Good morning, Miss Sherry. Renita says, when I was a child and would use the bus, these drivers would put you out of the bus, put you out if the bus wasn't full. If you left class around 7 and got on that bus to West Bay and it was you alone, they would leave you at the 4-way stop or by Republics and you had to walk home. What? Anita, that's crazy. No, sir. You see what I'm telling you? Hot mess. KY Forever says this is what happened when the bus drivers are mostly Jamaicans and they think they have control just because they have control in Jamaica. How is this a Jamaican issue now? KY Forever. Is it not? Oh, tomorrow is tax day in the United States of America. My phone just reminded me, just in case you're an American. Pay your taxes. Don't you have to be a Caymanian though to actually be a bus owner? So you might have Jamaicans working for you. Maybe they're driving the buses, but if you actually own the business, don't you dictate, doing little mini squats here. Don't you dictate what it is that they're supposed to do as your employees? All right. Gabby says, I don't know about hybrids. My car is fully electric. We got rid of her fully electric Tesla, by the way. It was only $30,000 in low maintenance because there's no engine to maintain. Upkeep is mostly mechanical parts and battery, and the change in my electric bill is barely noticeable. Yeah, some batteries are going to get you, honey child, even with electric vehicles, because when you got to pay 20 grand for battery, you might as well be looking at a new car. Strong Will says, you notice when you go to the restaurant, the prices go up and you get less food. I haven't necessarily noticed that. The places that I go, I wouldn't say I'm getting any less food, but I'm cognizant that I could probably be eating less food anyway. So I'm not going to complain. Trying to do half portions now as it is, because boy, we love to eat plenty of food. KY says, I just won't be getting public bus anymore. It would have to be a taxi from now on. But taxis are cheaper than a public bus? Say what? Abby says exactly why they should be tracked via app, not just for our convenience, but for accountability. It's a problem in North Side and East End too, and safety. But then you got to have people checking those, routes, making sure. I guess they probably only check it if they got a complaint. So there's a whole slew of stuff here, folks, that is going on. KY Forever says, in that video, it looks like she's on the wrong side of the road. I wasn't quite sure. That video is not very convincing otherwise. I think she's got to take a better video and explain to us what's really going on. All right, Renita says, yes, these bus drivers are ridiculous. I know we all witness how they drive on the roads. Girl. Can I tell you? Next level ridiculous. Should the fare increase due to fuel cost increases? Of course, but they also need to be doing their full routes and driving with sense also. And that's all part of what's required of them, regardless of whether they get a fee increase or not. Lady D, good morning, says public transport department do not have control. The Jamaican bus drivers are. I say that because they keep their own time and do not care if their passengers' time and lingers on their routes. Oh, Lord. It sounds to me like more and more you guys are making an argument this morning for the fact that government itself needs to take over public transport. So that'll be the next question. Let's get through this poll question first. And the next poll question will be, is it time for government? Where's Kenneth Bryan this morning? Kenneth, are you not listening to the show? Because this used to fall under your remit, honey child. Give us your opinion, but is it not time for, government to take it over? Quality control, bus route completion, safety, because then all the vehicles will have dash cams in them for the safety of passengers. Potentially price control. Renita says, Abby, they'll put you off at the top of Frank Sound and tell you to wait for the next bus. Where is the transport enforcement units? They're always on the road. Are they blind? What a hot mess. Y'all coming in with some stories here this morning, boy, that don't sound too good for these bus drivers. Bus drivers, where y'all at? Why is the phone line so quiet? Perhaps you all should be defending yourselves. All right, increase the licensing and fees for cars over $50,000. Make the rich subsidize the poor who don't contribute to traffic. The poor are contributing to traffic. Since when? That's where we have 1,000,001 scooters now, e-bikes, and people driving illegally in the back of trucks, and y'all thinking that that is okay. They contribute in a different kind of way. So Phineas says, Sandy, government needs to control these bus drivers with how they deal with people and the drop-off. Island Pearl says they say that the Simpsons predicted Trump and war, Auntie. Lord have mercy. Good morning, Luis. Lady D says they don't do their complete routes at times, especially in East End and North Side. And then when the rush hour starts, they're coming back to back. They leave those districts with gaps between 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Oh, Lord. That's crazy. Yay. Ms. Marjorie says government should take over the bus service here and only employ Cayman bus drivers, men or women. Okay. As opposed to non-men and women. I mean, I'm pretty sure there'd be men and women that would be employed. Renita says the transportation enforcement unit needs to do more because this has been the norm for many years. Bus drivers not executing their routes fully and putting people off and expecting the full fare to be paid either way. When you get on a bus, do you pay the fare when you get on or when you're getting off? I'm assuming it's probably when you get on. So lots of questions here. Let me just see here. Hold on one second. So lots of questions around this and lots of complaints, obviously, as well. So KY says, depends on where you're going because I don't pay that much when it comes to taxi. Okay. I mean, I don't know where you're going. Anthony says, Sandy, careful how you explain the independence of the bus drivers to work for one boss, but kind of explain politics, independence, and not party affiliation. Someone doing what they want. Huh? Say what? Morning, Mr. Dean. What happened to the public transport workers that be driving around checking? I know Tim used to do it. I don't think I've ever seen a public transport worker. So what do they look like? They're driving incognito or what? They hide in the bushes? How does that work? I have no clue. Lady D says Renita is absolutely correct. I was left a couple of times at night in Bodden Town because they had to pick up their woman or just not going the complete route. Pick up their woman? She can ride the bus too, I guess. I don't know. Plain and Straight says, how difficult can it be? The food delivery apps tell you that your food is on the way and where exactly the delivery driver is en route. Why try to reinvent the wheel? This should be so easy. I mean, not for nothing, but it's the same thing with Uber drivers in the US. It'll tell you. It will actually tell you that, exactly where they are. So new laws are coming, says someone in the know. Okay. All right. We'll get to that comment here in a second. Oh, wow. All right. Let me just see what else is coming in. Good morning. Good morning. Another person says, I have never, let me grab this one, put it up on the screen. One person says 24 years is a long time. Did the government say recently that they would be controlling gas prices at the stations? No. Government can't do that. All righty. Give me 1 second here. Honey chill. Trisha says, you really think the public transport can be fixed? There are no bus lanes. There won't be a time system. And the most you may see is getting these bus drivers to check. And that's it. To check the bus. What? The most you may see is getting these bus drivers in check, and that's it. So you don't think public transport can be fixed? What a hot mess we in then. Why pay that much when you don't have to your actual stop, when they don't take you to your actual stop? And half of them have a horrible attitude. And that's the reason why I said the Jamaicans take over the control more. Island Pearl says you pay when you get off. Well, if they didn't take me all the way, I wouldn't be paying. But I guess they're probably not going to let you off, right? Hermez says, I see e-bike and e-scooters popping back up on the road with no license display, riding and cops doing nothing. So unfair to Leroy, because Leroy was the first one there. And this is another question we need to ask the ministry about. He was definitely the first one there to get registered. And yeah, listen, if you claim that you're going to enforce it, then you enforce it. If you're not going to enforce it, then stop the nonsense. And why this whole campaign about enforcement? And my understanding is it's the RCIPS that has been adamant on enforcing the legislation because it's on the books and it's been there a long time. And they've now said, okay, we're going to enforce it, but y'all not enforcing nothing. So what's the point? You lose credibility with people. No, sir. Safinia says, listen, get one of them MPs on the phone. Well, we know the minister responsible for this area, Minister J.E. Banks, is actually traveling. I think he's off in official business. So unfortunately, I like how Anthony says it. Anthony says, get Vice President J. Vice President Naina, y'all are so funny. Get Vice President J on the phone for some questions This will solve all the uncertainty. He speaks layman terms and frank. So he is unavailable, folks, because he's traveling, because y'all done know from last night, I was exploring those options for the benefit of our listeners, but he is traveling. So unfortunately, he cannot join us today, but we'll see. I don't know when he's back on island, but we'll certainly see if we can get him on sooner rather than later. They have government issued vehicles that they sit by the main bus stop. If you drive by the full building on Shedden Road, you'll see that they're parked up there most of the times, but I don't see them doing anything. Yeah, Renita, that's ridiculous because you don't need to park up. You need to be on the road watching these bus drivers. KY Forever says, yes, Sandy, they be picking up their side pieces and whoever they're messing with while on the job. And they be going exactly to where they live to pick them up at the front door, but they, Lord have mercy. KY, you would think that a bus driver, if he's gonna have a side piece, he would get a side piece that has a car. So then he doesn't have to be abusing his bus driving position to just give her a ride. Like, that's low key kind of silly. But anyway, who am I to comment on such things? Good morning, Miss Gianni. Says, morning, Sandy. To your question in regards to Jamaica, the taxi drivers control the operations and manipulating the system, holding people hostage because of no other choice for transport, which is one reason PM brought in the school buses. Is that supposed to be PPM? And boy, they hate him. Or one reason PM, who's PM? Brought in the school buses and boy, they hate him. You mean the Prime Minister in Jamaica? So if the bus rates are increased due to increase in fuel prices, what happens when the fuel prices get reduced? Well, El Rey, I think you know the answer to that already. The short and long answer all in one is that once a price increases, it never appears to go down. So, but to be fair to them, we're not talking about the current gas increase now. They have not had an increase in 24 years. So I'm going to say that they probably deserve an increase. 24 years. Yeah. Renita says, I saw that new Drift app rideshare company in ads. It's like Uber and I hope it takes off. And here in Cayman? Oh. Tartarian says Bobo was the best Caymanian bus driver Cayman ever had. He only charged $1 for years. Well, he probably wasn't profitable. Maybe he didn't have to be profitable. And some people just do something because they enjoy it. It's not that, they have to make a living off of it. And I think that certainly depends. If you have to if you're running it as a business, and not every business owner is running their business as a business. Some business owners legit are like, it's a charity to them, right? So they don't have to make money off of it. Then I think that you do operate a little bit differently and you can charge $1 or 50 cents, whatever, it hardly matters. But if you are running it as a business, then you're more concerned about keeping track of the cost, your operational cost, because then that will dictate what you charge and what you don't charge. All right. So let's see if we can get in a couple steps this morning. Let's just start walking. Every day, Water Authority is digging up the roads, says Trisha. Traffic gets backed up or road closure. Let me turn my camera off. I might be giving some of y'all vertigo. Roads get wider with no less traffic. The bottleneck is unavoidable at Shamrock until poor old Crew Road. So logically, that was a little bit hard to read, Trisha. Sandy, you and me, Walton need what? To give Leroy back his money. Oh, my apologies. You're saying Kurt Walton should give Leroy back his money? Yeah, I'll leave Leroy alone. He's good. He's perfectly good. I thank you so much for addressing this issue, Miss Sandy. I almost You meant Prime Minister. Okay. Yeah, when you said PM, I was like, PM, I was like, is that supposed to be PPM? Okay, Trisha says if there's an accident, you go back 2 hours. Oh God, there was one yesterday down by CUC that had traffic backed up. And the new road by Kings will be felt all the way in Bodden Town when it opens. Poor old South Sound. So if we somehow cut over the seas, I'll believe it can be fixed. Cut over the seas? You mean build a bridge? That ain't gonna happen. Let's be realistic. That ain't happening. Duke Marin says most Jamaicans are wild tribal animals and too many lazy entitled Caymanians. He's slapping both y'all down at one lick with one sentence here. The Cayman Islands quality will disappear. Lord have mercy. Lady D says, yes, Sandy, to pick up his woman. Lord have mercy. When he saw I was on the bus, he kissed his teeth because he didn't want to take me to my final destination because I refused to just be dropped off wherever at night. And I would too. That's wild. So Gianni says, but wasn't there some increase for them about 10 years ago? Well, they've said they have not had an increase in 24 years. So I don't know. I mean, I've not really been watching the bus fare system for 20 something years, but that's what they said. In 2022, they said 20 years. Now, 2026, they're saying 24 years. At least they keep in count. So Aliana says, I've driven enough buses and delivery vans. I'm no expert, but the upper level of transport management is all about these flawed little pride to change the system. Is it me today or y'all writing some foolishness? What do you mean? I'm confused. Or is it my brain that not reading this right? What are you trying to say? You said, I'm no expert, but the upper level of transport management is all about their flawed little pride to change the system. What do you mean by that? You don't think the system should change, but it seems like the system not working? So if it's not working, wouldn't you change it? Strong Will says David Rocket used to drive reckless back in the day. God bless his heart. Well, that's not good. Ms. Sue says we should all be more concerned about our CUC bills going up, double from the oil hike, gone up so much. Yep, that's coming. Summer soon be here. Renita says, I personally feel that 24 years is a long time with no increase. And yes, they should adjust the fare to the current cost of fuel, etc. But I think people want to pay for good service and dependability. I wouldn't want to wait in Cayman 200 degrees Fahrenheit weather. Girl. Yes, sir, 200 degrees. To wait in a bus just to be put off and have to wait on another bus or end up in a car accident because they drive like maniacs. Thank God I don't take public bus anymore because you said you used to take it. So Lord have mercy. Gianni says, kaboom, Dookie. And look into the Compass archives when you get a chance, please. Thank you. What are we looking for? The archives are interesting. By the way, speaking of the Compass archives, let me just throw this in there as a side conversation. It is very, very interesting. And I know that a lot of people are digging into them and reading, like, especially crime, stuff. And it's so fascinating. And on Friday, if you missed this interview, we are going to repeat it as a separate piece. I'm so excited with Mr. Calvin Christian. Wonderful Cayman Voices segment. Oh my gosh. He was such a delight to interview. And he talked about this ship called the Unoka, that apparently quite a few Caymanians were on. And his father, when he was a baby, His father, and I'm going to show you guys something here in a second. Hold on. His father actually lost his life. He was one of the souls that would have been lost on that vessel when Mr. Christian was only like 18 months or something. So of course he wouldn't remember his dad, right? So when I was doing, Zeus, what are you doing? Behave yourself, young man. He's sitting behind me in my chair, and all of a sudden he starts scratching at my seat cushion. What's going on? You can't do that. All right. Gotta set Zeus straight this morning. All right. So he was talking about this, and I was like, you know what? I want to do some more research on this because this is so fascinating. So look at this. This is where, when we say there's no such thing as an original idea, you know, the compasses throw back and their archives. Other people, including the New York Times, has done this. I thought, oh my God, you know, fine. They borrowed the idea from the New York Times, I guess. And I'm sure other major publications. But this was the article on July the 20th, 1936. So I subscribe to the New York Times. It's one of the, you know, I pay for some newspapers. And this was the headline back then. Plane and cutters failed to find boat. British motor ship Nuneka. I feel like it's probably Spanish. Maybe there's a tilde that's missing over that. And Nuneka is missing in the Caribbean with 21 aboard. Cuban warship search. No trace of vessel has been found since she left Grand Cayman on July the 4th. This was July 20th, 1936. It's a very long headline, I must say. As someone who's in media as headlines go, it is pretty long. But look, it's called the Time Machine. New York Times Time Machine. And this was the actual article in their newspaper back then. Isn't that cool? Look at this, Midsummer Sail. You could get a piano back then for, let me see here now. Specialty price grands, new for $495. New $295, only $10 down. I love, one of the things that I find the most interesting about looking at these old newspapers is the ads, because I'm always fascinated by what things cost in 1936. Macy's, look at Macy's. Had a little advertisement in there, silk stockings. Oh my gosh, I love it. But here's the article about the cutter, and then you can click on it, and you can like increase the size. And this is the actual article. Wow. So they included in that all the bylines and stuff. So this was Tampa, Florida. July 19th, AP, the third day of a search by American and Cuban crafts passed today without a trace of the British motor ship Nuneka, unreported since leaving the West Indies for Tampa July 4th with 21 persons aboard. The Coast Guard had 3 cutters and a plane looking for the 110-foot combination passenger and freight boat. 3 Cuban Navy ships participated in the search, 9 Americans, 4 Britons, look how they spell Britons. 4 Britons and a crew of 8 under Captain Moses I. Kirkernel were aboard when the Nuneka sailed from Georgetown, Grand Cayman Island. Isn't this cool? Oh my gosh, I love reading history like this. Good morning, caller. Oh, okay. So in Moses I. Kirkernel, I'm wondering if this Captain Moses is related to the Moses Kirkernel that we know. I mean, obviously they're related, but I wonder how close was this like his grandfather? You know, same name, Moses Kirkernel, middle initial I. The cutter's nemesis of St. Petersburg, the Tampa of Mobile. I don't know what the Tampa Mobile is. I guess that's another ship. And the Kimball of Key West combed the lower Gulf and Florida Straits. The Cuban gunboats at Santa Clara, Pinar del Rio, and that's an area in Cuba, regional area, and the Havana searched the Yucatan Channel and the Caribbean Sea between the southern coast of Cuba and Grand Cayman. Americans aboard the missing vessel included Mr. and Mrs. Lewis R. Warren of Tampa, Mrs. Lee Hunter, I wonder if that's one of her hunters, and infant daughter Catherine of Mobile, Alabama, Mr. and Mrs. Durbin Tibbetts. They talking about the Americans? Them Caymanian names, honey child. Makes you wonder. Of Jacksonville. So were these some of the early settlers, like Caymanians living abroad? John and Lee Borden of Tampa. Y'all know that last name, Borden, is closely associated with Baden. In the early days, they were Bordens. So these are all Caymanians that they identified as Americans. Yes, sir. And Harold Eden of Tampa. Those are Caymanians, some of the Americans. Anywho, Britons listed were Ray Foster, again, probably another Caymanian with that name, Byron Bush of Grand Cayman, Miss Lorene Hennings, and her 6-year-old son Loxley of Miami. Oh, poor little Loxley. Besides Captain Kirkernel, the crew members were Merrill Scott, Mate Hopkins. Look how they spell Eubanks, Eubanks, Eubanks. Chief Engineer Harold Bodden, Assistant Engineer Howard Eubanks. I wonder if it's supposed to be Eubanks, but they just put the U in there for this publication. Although some Caymanians spelled it that way, so I don't know. Cook was Oliver Taylor, steward Sedley Rich, and 2 seamen whose names were not reported. Who were they? Oh my God. Captain John L. Eden, father of Harold Eden, charted the craft's usual course for the Coast Guardsmen, and he figured currents and wind drift and calculated the approximate position of the vessel if it encountered motor trouble and drifted without power. Lieutenant John F. Harding of St. Petersburg Coast Guard Air Station announced that the Coast Guard will not join in a search in the Caribbean for the British motor ship. Oh, okay. A delegation of men visited the air station this morning and pointed out a spot in the Caribbean where they thought the missing ship might be drifting, Lieutenant Harding said, but it was naturally only guesswork on their part. Under no circumstances could we begin a search in that vicinity. It is out of our range and would have to be handled by Cuban gunboats. For more than 4 hours today, a Coast Guard amphibian piloted by Clyde Condry, aviation chief, mechanics mate, search fruitlessly for the missing vessel in the Gulf of Mexico. Oh my God. All of this went down July 19th, 1936. Such a fascinating story. And I had not really heard, but when somebody else was telling me about this, I actually do know another Cayman Bracker, because I think there's quite a few Brackers on this vessel. I had heard of another Cayman Bracker that had died on the ship as well, but I didn't know the full name of it. And so forth. So Mr. Christian in his Cayman Voices segment mentioned that his father was one of those on this vessel. 21 souls. This could be the single worst aviation incident in Cayman history? Could be. Wow. So incredible. The British motor ship, the Nunica. So yeah, the New York Times carried this story. And that is there. Huh. Very interesting. And there was another publication in the Tampa Bay, let me see here. They actually have pictures. Hold on, let me show you. In one of the Tampa newspapers of some of the people who were on board this vessel as well. And they, to this day, they said mysterious disappearance of the Nunica in July of 1936 at Mabel, lost at sea. And so they had someone carried some pictures of that vessel. But I think it is fascinating. And I think it's great when publications that have this long history of publishing can actually create these archives, because, it gives us all an opportunity to go back and have a look. So let me just show you. This is, I don't know who Aunt Mabel is, but this is pictures of some of the people that were, I can't really read the print on this, but these are some of the people, some of the passengers on that vessel. So very, very interesting. So there was a follow-up story here. Well, this story is from August of 1936. And this basically says Noriega, let me see, this was Tallahassee Democrat Archive, August the 5th, 1936. It says that something, Noriega, something, I can't quite make out that word. Vessel was broken up. So did they actually ever find any parts of the vessel at all? I mean, Mr. Christian said no, he didn't think so. Nuneka relics prove vessel was broken up. Wreckage is identified by Tampa agents and workmen. Now, this article said there were 22 persons aboard, and it faded after wreckage swept from the sea was positively identified as being from the craft. C.C. Foster, Tampa agent for the vessel, and A.E. Foster, a ship's carpenter, said that a life raft, a fire bucket, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Hold on. 1 second here. Yeah. A fire bucket, a thatch rope, suspicious because we're known for a thatch rope, and a birch wood float was known to them to have been on the Nuneka. A.E. Foster said he built the bucket holder. C was scourged. The wreckage, along with a number of steel oil drums, was picked up at sea along the Florida Keys by Coast Guard boats and planes, which last month scoured the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico in search of the craft. The agent expressed the belief that an explosion occurred and the ship was then swept by fire. Wow. No word reported. No word has been heard from the Nuneka since it sailed from Georgetown, Grand Cayman Island, Bahamas. Do you see how they were always mixing us up? Lord have mercy. We're not the Bahamas, but you see, when I moved to the US in the 1980s, early 80s, they were mixing us up with Bahamas and Jamaica then too. And it seems like they were doing it in 1936. So they said Grand Cayman Islands, Bahamas. Lord have mercy. On July the 4th for Tampa. Americans aboard were, and then they list all the same Americans. But it seems to me that all these people were Caymanians that probably had American papers. Tibbetts, Durbin Tibbetts of Jacksonville, Florida, Hunters from Alabama, Edens and Tampa, Bordens, those are all Caymanians. British subjects, so they kind of name the same people again. And then members of the Nuneka crew, and then they have them listed by Cayman Brack, Oliver Tabor, Grand Cayman, Sedley Rich, Cayman Brack, and 2 seamen whose names were not known at Tampa. I wonder if they ever figured out who they were. Merrill Scott. So, yeah, pretty wild. But yeah, these are some of the original stories from 1936. Is that not fascinating? Oh my gosh. Very, very interesting. And then the New York Times says message washed ashore in Florida tells of Nuneka's bottled message hints trace of lost ship. Message washed ashore. Oh, really? Let's have a look at this story. This is so fascinating. So April 30th, 19 What year was this one? 1938. So several years later, this is the New York Times article. Let's see what this says. Bottled note hints trace of lost ship. Message washed ashore in Florida tells of Nuneka's mutiny. Huh? April 29th, 1938. A note in a whiskey bottle washed ashore near here revives speculation today of the fate of the motor ship Nuneka, missing since July 4th, 1936, when she sailed with 22 persons on board from Grand Cayman Island for Tampa. Lieutenant C.F. Edge, commander of the Coast Guard air station here, said the note was scribbled with pencil and bore the heading MS Nuneka. He said that the paper was discolored as if from age, and that the bottle was sealed with a badly corroded metal cap. Mutiny on the officers and I, the note read, killed all of the passengers and then heading for Nigeria and Africa. What? Okay. Lieutenant Ed said he would report the message to divisional headquarters in Jacksonville in an attempt to reach relatives of Captain Moses Iker Colonel, master of the missing ship in British Honduras. Okay. It may be a hoax, but there's a possibility of something interesting in it, Lieutenant Edge said. I will try to procure a sample of the captain's handwriting to compare it with the note. Those aboard the Nuneka when she disappeared included 9 Americans, 4 British subjects, and a crew of 9. What? Oh, this is a mystery? Nunoka. Nunoka? Ugh. Nunoka. What a mess. Lord have mercy. Even then, there was like mall road still happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. Mutiny? What? Oh my God. Okay. Was there any investigative conclusion? Did they ever find the ship? Like nothing. Oh, it's so weird. Wow. Very, very interesting. All right. List of shipwrecks in 1936. It makes that list as well. Royal Gazette, the Bermuda National Library has mention of it. They have a Real Foster that was on there, a Byron Bush, Lorraine Hennings. Wow. And then as time went on, July 31st, 1936, you see another little mention of it here in the New York Times. Where it was missing at that point for 20 days. And they made mention of it then as well. So such a fascinating story. There it is. Fascinating. All right. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting in light of the interview that we had with Mr. Calvin, and his father was one of the lost souls on it. I just thought it was very interesting, and it got me interested, in what this was about and who was on it. And it was just like, oh my God, I've gone down a little bit of a historical rabbit hole about this vessel because it is very, very interesting. So it made the news like in the Florida Keys, because obviously it was headed to Tampa. And so there you go. All right. They were all Caymanian, says Richard Parson. That's what I figured. But I guess they probably had at that point, some of them had American citizenship and some had British. But yeah, I think they were all Caymanian. Interesting, right? Shaka says, Auntie Sandy, for international travel, wasn't it the case that back in those days, folks were either categorized as British or American, and being a Caymanian citizen was not a thing until the 1970s? That's possible because we are British. We are British. So it is very possible because one of the articles then detailed that some of these people were from Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman. But when they start saying from Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, stuff like that, I think those were Caymanians who were actually living there. And so that's the difference. New Noka. Thank you. Tartarian says, yep, we have history. And some just come here and think we just pop up out of the sea. Anyway, Dean should try to find out who the two unknown, undocumented sailors were. I'm going to keep digging. Miss Ann said, I enjoyed the interview, Mr. Calvin. So did I. It was very, very nice. Miss Anita says, and these were stories, many years of mysterious sights of some of the passengers and crew. There were stories many years after mysterious sightings. Oh, wow. Folks, we're going to end the show there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll try to see what we can find out about the bus fare situation. Go vote in the poll. Look like it's going to kind of be a close one. A lot of you is like, yeah, time for them to get a pay increase, or fare increase. And some are saying no. So go vote. And we'll check it out. Tartarian says the Hennings are originally from West Bay. One of the Hennings became a championship wrestler. Oh, really? Anita says Brian Bush was South Sound Bushes. And the farmer's market needs to be checked into. You got to get a very fascinating story. The farmer's market. Okay, so tell me more. All right, beautiful folks. See you tomorrow morning at 7:30 sharp. Be on time to class. We got some guests joining us tomorrow. You guys have a fantastic day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.